All right, just some of the general terminology, I guess, things going on with it. You have to sign it, have to sign up for it by the sales closing date. That's March 15th in Tennessee. You can elect it as a standalone policy, as I mentioned. Don't have to have the underlying companion policy, or you can have it in connection with the policy. However, they do both have to be with the same insurance provider. Okay, you can't have STAX and SEO on the same acres. Okay, so we got to have one or the other on the acreage. My interpretation of this also, though, is you can have STAX on some acreage, some of your cotton acreage, and you can have SEO on some of your cotton acreage. Now, you will have to have STAX. I'm also reading into this that if you take STAX, you'd have to have it on all the cotton that you raise in that county, with the exception being if you've got some that's got SEO on it. It is like any other insurance policy, it's a continuous policy. So unless you make a written notification to the insurance company or insurance agent that you want to cancel that policy, it's going to continue on to the next year. And you have to make that determination by the sales closing date. Some of the choices you have, again, select a protection factor, that 80 to 120%. You select an area loss trigger. That ranges from 90% to 75% in 5% increments. And then your coverage range is going to be, again, from 5% to 20%. And these values will be shown in your documents when you sign up, when you go in and do the crop insurance with your agent. You'll get these values in the application. What are some things to consider? So I think the big thing to consider, this is something we've looked at over time with group risk plan and GRIP plans. How well is your average, is your county, is your own farm yields? How do they track with the county average? And by that I mean, if the county average is up, or your yields up? County average is down, or your yields down? Doesn't mean they're the same. It means how they track it. So if they track pretty good with the trend, it could be pretty, it could give you some pretty good risk protection. If they don't track very well with the trend of the county, it's kind of more or less a gamble on what you're cutting, on the risk protection that you're receiving. Just a few other things. It does attach when planting begins. It covers planted acreage of the crop. I won't keep saying that just so we make sure we don't get that confused. It does go with the planted acreage. Doesn't provide any payments for replanting and preventive planting. So if you have it as a standalone policy, it doesn't do that. There's no late planting period. All acreage must be planted by the final planting date in the crop insurance. All insurable acreage of the crop in the county will be insured by STAX if you sign up for it. The exception is for any that you designated for SCO. That can't be covered by STAX, of course. When the summary acreage report is processed, you're going to get a summary of the coverage. Includes all the pertinent information, the insured crop, acreage, amount of insurance, and guarantee, and your policy protection. They're going to be shown separately for STAX and then for any companion policy you have. Just a couple of things to look at. Mainly I'll focus on the STAX column, but if you've got an individual companion policy, if you've got a loss, you've got about 72 hours where you need to let your crop insurance agent know that you have a loss. With STAX, you don't have to do that. It's not applicable. And individual farm yield or revenue are not considered under STAX for determination of any indemnity that you have. Again, it's an area-based policy. What you do as producer, it does not matter to that policy. There's no inspection to impact any damage for damage. If you've got a loss in your farm, you won't have an adjuster come out or anything for STAX, whereas you would on the companion policy. do receive an indemnity in STAX, the payment's going to be a little later. It'll be quite a bit later than what you would on a companion policy. You know, when on a companion policy or revenue protection or yield protection that you got, you'll get a indemnity payment, you know, fairly soon after you turn your loss in. You know, and it gets adjusted. The adjuster comes out and looks at it. It's usually not too long unless they're backed up. Only you'll get your payment. Now with STAX, they got to wait till the final county yield has come out. Typically on cotton in Tennessee, that's been about May is when we've gotten the final county yield. So sometime after that, they're saying it's summer is when probably there will be a STAX payment paid. So it lags then until next year, the summer of the next year before you get that payment. Just some additional information. Your documents are going to specify your data source for final area yields and release dates. They'll say that most likely the source is going to be NASS yields. There is a wording that indicates if that's not available, they can use crop insurance data to look at for that county or for that area. So there's some wording in there that indicates that. And they do say they will pay the indemnity to be due for STAX. The due for STAX will also be paid in 30 days after the final release of the yields, area yields. Any program changes will be made or made no later than the contract change date of November 30th. You have the opportunity to look at those changes, review them. If you want to change some of the policy coverage within on STAX, you do so by the sales closing date for that policy. Again, you have to give written notice if you want to cancel that policy.